I don't watch new movies anymore. And you can say it's because modern interpretations and modern audiences are cosmopolitan, third world trash, watching communist theater kid propaganda, because they are. And you could say it's because people don't do steroids anymore in film, and other than The Rock, they don't. But you can't say it's because I'm wrong, because I'm not. Like, one day, they put the best people together and gave them a goofy comic book and said, make this into magic. And you know what? They exceeded. They so did. And sure, it did good in the box office. It cost $20 million to make. It made about $60 million back. So long as it doubles its box office take, it's making money. But that doesn't consider the syndication, the video sales, the rentals, the toys, the boost to comic sales, the sequels, the spin-offs, the remakes. Red Sonja, Bridget, whatever her name is. It kickstarted Arnie's career. Everybody said Terminator did that, but they're wrong. And they're probably a pinko communist. And why did they do this? I don't know, but the people who worked on it were damned good at their job. Like, you thought of this as a kid's comic book movie, but look at the people who made it. John Millis, he's the director, and he's the writer. But you know what else he's done? Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, Apocalypse fucking Now, Red Dawn, that series Rome that everybody seems to like nowadays. He directed half of them himself. The man knows what he's doing. You know who created Conan? Robert Howard. The guy was buddies with H.P. Lovecraft. No one writes characters nowadays based on their friends. Or maybe they do, and that's the problem. And no one nowadays has friends who are prize fighters, gunmen, bootleggers, workmen. I was raised on a ranch. My parents owned a logging company, so I know workmen. I have one friend who's a prize fighter, Ed Lattimore. He's awesome. I know a few workmen. I was raised on a ranch. I feel old and out of place nowadays. Like, people don't believe me when I tell stories. And I'm not half the man that Robert Howard was. And people look at me like I'm an alien. So we're not going to get this back. And it's not that we're not a smart people. It's not that we're not capable. It's that we've lost the technology. We don't know how. And that's without even mentioning Oliver Stone. It's going to be a theme you see in here where, like, Oliver Stone, obviously the writer, director, you don't even have to mention his work. Just his name. You're going to see a lot of that in this. And if that wasn't good enough, look who they got to act the goddamn thing. James Earl Jones. He's the actor. You don't have to mention what he was in. The name is enough. Max von Sydow. He's been on the channel a bunch. He was in Flash Gordon. He made it into the success it was. 3 Days of the Condor. He played the Australian assassin. I mention him a lot in the 84 Dune series. Like, if you have a favorite fantasy or sci-fi movie and you want to be taken seriously, Max von Sydow. He's like Christopher Lee, the World War II vet special forces kind of old school actor. But Max was a little young for the Second World War, but he was a child in the middle of Europe during World War II. So either way, you get the idea. Zero wheesh about him. And of course, Arnie. You don't even need to use his full name. Arnie. What else do you need to say? So you take a man who was raised in the land of giants, take his character he made in the 1920s, give him the best screenwriters of a generation, and the actors whose names preceded them, put them in a goofy comic book, and make a fucking classic.
Do you want to crush your enemies?
Crush your enemies.
Do you yearn to see them driven before you?
See them driven before you.
Do you miss the days when you could hear the lamentation of the women?
And to hear the lamentation of the women.
Well, I have the story for you. A man. You. Born in pain, born in suffering. The last of his clan. His name is Conan, and he only knows revenge. A movie with gratuitous nudity for no reason, other than it's awesome. It's the greatest movie of a generation. It's Lord of the Rings if you're not a nerd. It's Harry Potter's, but for heterosexuals. It's high fantasy. It's The God of Steel. It's James Earl Jones. It's Conan. 1982.
Do you want to live forever?
It's not so much a movie as it's like the start of a movement. Like, I've only ever seen one other movie that captures lightning in a bottle like this, like goofy material elevated, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These people understood the assignment. They are supposed to take something that's silly, a loincloth barbarian goofing around, stealing things, and take it seriously. And with that suspension of disbelief built in, it made magic that's going to outlive all of us. Like, I don't think movies get enough credit when they do this. Like, people forget. It's like nowadays, everything has to be a quippy one-liner, some self-aware line, heckin' yikes, that just happened. You know why? Because people are shit. They're insecure. They're afraid to be unironic, sincere, and just enjoy things. Like, how I keep telling you to watch a movie on its own terms? Well, this is why. You put some weesh millennial into this, and they did back in 2011, and you're going to get cool kung fu and parkour and a strong independent woman and CGI slop and one-liners. I'm not going to lie, it looks amazing. The explosions slap, and the company that did the CGI gets to ask for another $20 million in their next film because this is a great advertisement. But what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Did you ever stop to think there might be a reason Arnie didn't get a one-liner in this movie? The guy most known for having one-liners, and they chose restraint? It's because they want you to feel something. Like, they don't want you staring at a cinematic mobile, jangling shiny keys in your face while music fakes you into emotion. Oh, you're sad? I know this because the violin is playing. Oh, you're angry because the drums started beating. Fuck you guys. Conan and his people, they knew what they were doing. They wanted you to feel, but they wanted to earn it. Visceral feelings. They know that kids grew up with imaginations, and that was the best filmmaking technique. It's like Alfred Hitchcock said. Don't show them the terror, let their brains fill in the blanks. And you see it right at the start. Dad's talking to Conan, tells him about Crom and the riddle of steel, and then barbarians come in, kill everybody. You see Thulsa Doom and his two henchmen, Rexor and Thorgrim. They see Conan's mom, a tough broad, loves her son, and they decapitate her. It's probably the best way anybody has ever been killed in film, cinematically, of course. They explain it later on, but Thulsa's moment here is where he solves the riddle of steel, and that's kind of the theme of this video, is the purpose of Conan is to show you how people solve the riddle of steel. Like, you don't find out about it till later, but it's clever shit like this is why Conan still slaps half a century later. He had an army. He had weapons. But Rexor and Thorgrim couldn't bring themselves to kill a mother and her child. They take the sword, they chicken out, and they pass it on. Finally, Thulsa takes it on, ponders the riddle, and then... And you don't see it. All you see is boy Conan holding onto his mom's hand. His mom lets go. A flutter of hair falls to the ground, and Conan just staring at his hand. They switch to a shot where it looks like Conan is almost holding on to Thulsa. Great framing. Like, it's some of the best framing I've ever seen in a movie. It's up there with, like, the final gunfight in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. 2 minutes where almost nothing happens on screen, but you run the gamut of emotions, and at the very end, they spell it out for you. Who's your father, boy, if not for me? Love that shit. And steel isn't strong. Flesh is stronger. Hopefully I can put the line in here.
Steel isn't strong, boy. Flesh is stronger. I gave you this. Such a waste. Contemplate this on the tree of woe. Crucify him.
It's a banger line, man. So you've watched this movie a dozen times, and I bet you never even realized that. It's hard for a movie to have surprises on the second watch, let alone the 24th watch. Yeah, he explains the riddle of steel to Conan there, in opposition to what his father did, but you saw it early on. He knew what he was doing. He solved it himself. And there is like dozens of little things like this all over the movie. It's got absolute sincerity, absolute confidence in its delivery. It doesn't give you spoilers, it doesn't give you hints, it doesn't wink to the audience. It just trusts that you're smart enough to get it eventually. And you never noticed any of it, but your brain did. And that's why you still remember Conan today, but can't say anything about the remake or any of the movies from the Barbarian twins. Because it turns out you can't just throw muscular men who can't act in an action movie and hack your way to perfection. Alright, the plot. The plot is a damned masterclass. Like, keep in mind, the main character doesn't say a word for like the first 22 minutes. It's, for all intents and purposes, a silent film for him until that point. They got a little narration by Mako, but it's the bare minimum just so you're not confused about what's going on. It starts, Conan is a boy in a village, taught the rule of steel by his father, or the riddle of steel. Thulsa Doom invades the village, kills everybody, and slaves the kids. Conan put on the Wheel of Pain, which I assume is a large grain mill, and he has to work until adulthood. That pain made him strong. He ends up getting sold to slavers, who use him in the gladiator pits. And with all of his pain and all of his strength, he ends up being good, like really good. So he becomes so good that they start investing in him. They train him with the best swordsmen, they teach him to read, they even bring him bitches. And he's not a monster. He makes sure to riz them first. He's not a monster. It's okay, lady. Just sit down. Here, take a loincloth. And finally, when he finally speaks, he gives the most baller line in cinematic history. Like, everybody knows it.
You crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of your women.
It kind of shows that he's like lacking his humanity, but he eventually gets that back pretty quick. So even his master knows he can't hold on to him forever. So he frees him. There's no more glory or money to be won from this slave. And for the first time, Conan's free. He happens upon a grave of the king of Atlantis while he's being chased by wolves. It's like getting Excalibur or something. And for the first time, Conan thinks he has the answer to the riddle of steel. And this is the part I love about this. This is the funny thing. So for a character arc, characters have two things. They have wants and they have needs. Usually in a character arc, what happens is the character goes after their want because they know what it is and they get it. And then through that find out they actually have a need, which is something else. A good character arc has the character find in what they need and then they grow. A tragic arc has some fatal flaw which costs the character in the end and he has like a tragic ending. This is very early for somebody to discover their want already though. And so he goes off. Now he thinks he's got everything solved. He knows what he's doing. Runs into a hot chick who wants some man meat. Again, bitches. She tells him about a palace of zealots with riches and they're tied to the man that he wants to get revenge against. Of course, she's a witch. And he has to throw her into a fire after she goes nuts. But he finds some friends now and has some purpose. Revenge. Subotai, a thief and archer, and Valeria, a hot barbarian chick. They run into each other stealing stuff from the Set temple. Conan almost gets killed when he loses track and realizes the men who run this religion are the same people that killed his mom and his dad and his people. So, end of it all, they get rich, they start to party. Conan realizes that all this victory has dulled his senses. They end up getting captured by the king, who asks them to retrieve his daughter from the kingdom of Set. Valeria offers them a chance to leave, says it's a suicide mission, and Conan has to choose between having a good woman, a life of freedom, riches, but he leaves her behind for revenge. It's another one of those scenes that hit you right in the feels. She loves him, but he cannot be turned from his mission for vengeance. The king knew the answer to the riddle of the steel, but Conan couldn't hear him when he says, all that matters is the love of your child or your flesh. It's the same as Thulsa Doom, but instead of the controlling way, it's the loving way. Flesh is strong, boy, not steel.
All that is left is a father's love for his child. Steel isn't strong, boy. Flesh is stronger. I gave you this. Such a waste. contemplate this on the tree of woe. Crucify him.
So, and it leaves you with some tension, some concern. You don't know how this is going to end. If this is a tragic arc, his lust for revenge is his fatal flaw that gets him killed. So this gives you more of an investment. You don't know if he's going to win in the end. On his way to the temple, he passes by a graveyard full of heroes and a wizard who protects it. Continues on. Thulsa's army tries to get into his temple, but they recognize his jade amulet as one of the things that was stolen from the temple, so they know he's the dude that robbed the place. They take him prisoner, where he finally meets Thulsa. Thulsa tells him what he needs. Answer to the riddle of steel. All that matters is flesh, boy. In the end, steel doesn't matter. Riches don't matter. But again, Conan thought that the riddle of steel was what his father told him. Steel was honest and the only thing you can trust. Thulsa explains by sacrificing one of his girls. Flesh is strong. Steel is only as strong as the flesh that holds it. Same as the king. And then they send Conan to die on the Tree of Woe. So, oh my god, it's his tragic arc, his fatal flaw, his lust for revenge, his inability to understand the riddle of steel, and he ends up getting killed for it. But Subutai and Valeria rescue him from the tree, bring him back to the wizard. He is dead. And he's like, I can bring Conan back, but it's going to come with a cost.
If I were dead and you still fighting for life, I'd come back from the darkness, back from the pit of hell.
So Valeria has her own riddle of steel she has to answer. And again, she gives the gods her flesh, which brings Conan back. And ooh boy, he's mad. Conan's like, yeah, look, we're going to rescue the girl. Revenge is going to come after. Is he going to have this same flaw, or did he understand the riddle? Did he understand what people are trying to explain to him? You don't know, because he just scowls. It's awesome.
Only the girl. We killed Thulsa Doom another day. Agreed?
For the next part. I cannot do this piece justice. This action piece, I can't do any of them justice, but you just have to watch it. It's like I said, it's a silent film. There's not a word spoken in any of them, yet they all have like a mini story. This is like a perfect example. It builds tension better than I've seen in like any movie in the last 20 years. They have catharsis at the end, the build up, the release. It's like jazz music, only better. There's not an 8-year-old boy on earth who didn't fight his brother after watching this scene. I used to watch this. If I was like not feeling like working out that day, I would put on this scene beforehand. Like, that's how awesome it is. 100 watches later, you still feel it. And like I said, this next scene is the greatest. If you ever needed to pick me up to go to the gym, watch this one. Conan, Subutai, Valeria break into the temple. They break up an orgy and a cannibal feast, and they just start murdering everybody. Rexor and Thorgrim look like they just saw a ghost, which they kind of did because they had killed him. But Conan's learned. He rescues the girl and they escape. They get revenge another day, but again, the gods commanded that they had their cost of flesh. The king's love of a child is more important. He solved the rule of steel. He understands it now. But the gods, again, they want their sacrifice. So Thulsa hits Valeria with a snake arrow, poisons her, and her last words to Conan are a vow to fight through hell to be by his side. Very sweet. So Conan, pretty pissed. Pretty pissed. He uses the princess as bait for Thulsa. He goes back to that graveyard, Crypt of Atlantis, I think they call it. Set up a whole bunch of old kings there. He curses Crom and promises him a battle he'll never forget. He doesn't really care. It's riddle of steel. Flesh is what matters most, and his flesh is going to take over all of this stuff. So he, Subutai, and the wizard, they take on the army of Thulsa Doom, not just with like strength and brute force, but they use their wits as well. They set up, it's basically Home Alone, which is pretty awesome.
Valor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. If you do not listen, then to hell with you.
Except for like a lot more murder. And then, just as any action movie, its final set piece is always the best one. It's probably one of the greatest cinematic action set pieces out there. I'd put it on par with Hard Boiled. Like, you thought the temple fight was awesome? Well, they managed to top it. Starts off, Thulsa attempts to kill the princess just to prove that Fresh is stronger, but Subutai saves her, and then Conan kills everyone.
Do you want to live forever?
everyone. He traps Thorgrim, driving a wooden spike through his chest. Rexor manages to get the drop on him, almost kills him. Conan notices that he's using his father's sword too, and then just as he's almost killed with his own dad's sword, a little flash across the eyes, Rexor gets blinded. Valeria comes back from Valhalla, blinding him, and tells Conan, get up and stop being a pussy. So she answered the riddle of steel, made it to Valhalla. She fought through hell to fight alongside him. Conan gets up and proceeds to hack through his father's sword and kills Rexor. That's symbolism, by the way. Overcoming the father. But yeah, it's pretty slick. And then everybody always remembers that big spout of blood right at the end. So Thulsa ends up running away from this stuff, but Conan hunts him down that night as Thulsa is in the middle of his temple talking to his army. They're going to murder everybody. They're going to massacre, a genocide. So Conan sneaks up to him with the broken remains of his father's sword in his hand. Thulsa has a little chat. He's like, hey, the reason you're the man you've become, the reason you've solved the riddle of steel is because of me. I gave you the passion. I gave you that fire in your belly. So he's not your father. I'm your father. And then you see Conan. He kind of realizes, yeah, he's got a point. He's right. And it almost looks like he's swayed. But he came here for revenge. And so revenge is what he's going to get. Chops Thulsa's head off with the broken-ass sword. Again, symbolism. Tosses the head into the crowd, and the crowd disperses. So he ends up saving the kingdom from a mass genocide. Then he burns Thulsa's temple, it looks exactly the same as the funeral pyre he used when he burned Valeria. So in this way, he's kind of like a funeral for his fathers. Conan then returns the princess to the king, becomes a king himself. So I wish I could do this movie justice. Like, it's high art. It's probably the greatest comic book movie that's ever existed, and it cost a tenth of what the Avengers cost to make. It didn't do CGI. It didn't do quippy one-liners. It didn't do detached irony. Half the time, it didn't even bother with dialogue. It's visual storytelling, the likes that has never happened before and will probably never happen again. They do not make movies like this anymore. It would be impossible to, as the men who made it lived in times that we will never have. So enjoy it, fellas, because I damn well did.